Malcolm-Jamal Warner was so much more than Theo Huxtable. We have all been impacted by his art. We have been impacted by his voice, and certainly the news of his tragic and untimely death has shocked us all. We're going to talk about it a little bit and pay honor to the brother on this episode of Mama We Made It with DJ and Reg. Good morning, good people. What's happening?
What's going on, Mr. Reg?
How's everybody doing?
Doing well. How are you?
Melancholy.
Okay.
A bit somber. As we all know, we just recently learned of the passing of Malcolm-Jamal Warner, and it landed awkwardly on my spirit, and figured it would be a good time for us to talk about it, kind of unpack some things around it. So I'm trying to figure out how not to make this recreational sadness, but definitely wanted to kind of get some things up in the air. So that's where I am. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I mean, I think I'm with you, man. It is a reminder how precious life is, man. You know, I on a daily basis just assume people are going to be with us. We'll see them on the next TikTok or the next IG, and then you get one that you don't want to believe when you see rest in peace Malcolm-Jamal Warner. Your first thought is, man, this can't be true. Somebody's playing. So it's a reminder, man, that we literally have to take every day as a blessing and operate with ourselves and others in that capacity, man. So yeah, definitely blew me back. Grieve's a critical part of childhood, man.
No question. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Mama We Made It with DJ and Reg. That's DJ. I'm Reg. As you can tell, we're going to take this session just to talk about Malcolm-Jamal Warner in some broader context. Like for all of us, for me, right? And certainly our generation, we met him in the fall of 1984. Unless you saw him in Fame as a child actor or some other stuff. We met him as Theo Huxtable. I was a senior in high school. And I remember saying, yo, that's another brother in the Shag family, as he was walking around with the Shag. I got to find my high school yearbook picture.
He had a nice cut.
I'm absolutely rocking the Shag. And I'm 3 years older than him, so I did not aspire to be Theo, but I saw myself in him as it relates to young, corny kid trying to figure it out, trying to be, as honest as possible about his expression of black male teenageness, in a family that loved on him and had high expectations. So I remember meeting him, and it's probably, as singular a execution on TV of what it felt like to be in my era in high school. So I going back 41 years, thinking about him as Theo and then seeing him in all these other spaces, we've grown up together without knowing each other. So it has landed on me kind of funny, but I celebrate the memories going back that far. Were you a Cosby kid, show watching dude growing up?
Man, I got to be really honest with you, Purse. I was not.
Yeah.
And I think it had to do with me feeling no connection to Bill Cosby.
Okay.
Even then, he was not funny to me. His role as the dad, for me, there was too much focus on him and not enough the other characters. At least that's how I perceived it. I'm just speaking honestly. But I loved it when Malcolm was the focus.
Yeah.
Right? And Lisa Bonet was the focus. I really enjoyed that.
So you did watch or you didn't watch?
I was not a fan. But I would catch episodes, and primarily because, again, man, I'm rolling into college that year. That was my freshman year at college. I'm about to pledge. All this other stuff is happening. Sure. Bill Cosby meant very little to me. But that youthful journey I could definitely relate to. So not a fan. I watched it because I didn't want to be out of the loop in conversations.
Could have been watching Miami Vice, but I'm going to catch this on Thursday night. Got it.
Well, you know what's crazy, person? I looked at... So obviously 1984 fall, we're introduced to Malcolm, many of us, in the Cosby Show. You know what was crazy about that year? We were also introduced to the Apple Macintosh in 1984. Crazy to think.
Yep.
CD players.
Yep.
The Terminator and Ghostbusters. So I just did a little journey walk on what else was happening in 1984 besides Reg being, about to finish high school and catapult into his adult world and DJ entering into. But it's crazy to think back, man, all that was happening in 1984. These things we take for granted, right?
Yep.
So were you an incessant Cosby Show watcher?
Yeah, I don't know if I use the word incessant, but yeah, every week, yeah. Certainly it was a show that we watched, and proudly so, right? Like, I have no problem saying that I rocked with the Cosby Show, right? Like, the Huxtables ain't Bill Cosby, right? So I don't have any problem saying I watched it then. If it's on now, I'll catch it now. I love The Different World as well. So we're not going to make this about old buddy who's locked up in jail for all good reasons. But I proudly was absolutely watching the Huxtables do their thing and appreciated mom and dad, right? And in a lot of ways, particularly the early seasons where we see Theo trying to figure it out, the episode with his earring, all those things absolutely resonated with me. So I was definitely into it in that way. And the reality is, in the fall of 1984 on Thursday nights, there was nothing else on that even remotely looked like us. Maybe Mr. T on the A-Team. Like the pickings were slim, and so the execution, while it was silly in parts, in a way that could be problematic in terms of how some of the early characters were drawn. There's some questions around what cockroach meant and those types of things. There absolutely was a resonance there that I appreciated. So I was a fan of that, and going back to earlier content as well. But beyond that, Malcolm-Jamal Warner and watching him do his thing was a reminder that everybody wasn't a jock, right? Everybody wasn't on stage with a microphone in hand, putting it down like Run DMC and Houdini. There was a space for cats who were just a little bit goofy, maybe a little bit try too hard, but with their boys, they were absolutely going through their paces trying to figure it out. So I absolutely rocked with it in that way.
Yeah, it's funny you bring up Cockroach. Wasn't it the case that he eventually left that show because he refused to cut his hair after Bill Cosby asked him to cut his hair? Isn't that where that character went away, Cockroach?
I don't know.
I think so, man. Yeah, I believe so. There was so much around that show, man, that I thought was really interesting. I think to your point, man, even though I was not a fan and an avid watcher, retrospectively, what I do connect with is the fact that felt like the first show for me where no financial woes for black folks, two very highly educated parents, and encouraged the same for their kids. And quite honestly, man, the issues they were dealing with, to me, for lack of a better word, were commonplace or simplistic, but they were real. Mm-hmm. And I think it allowed a broad spectrum of people to connect with that. And even though I grew up differently in so many ways, no pops around, always kind of moving around, there was nothing really foundational and sedentary. I did connect with that, so there was some inspiration for me. But as it was happening, and as the show I was still on Good Times. I was still on stuff that maybe I shouldn't have been watching. But
yeah, because Norman Lear was getting it right.
Norman Lear was getting that money.
It was. If we're gonna do the problematic sitcoms, we should save that for another episode because you can dissect them all in that way.
You can, but so were Marcy and Carsey off the Bill Cosby.
I'm not saying Good Times versus. I'm saying all of them with the white creators behind them were doing some things that were funky for sure. I think the Alvin Poussant piece on the Cosby Show is a little different. I think the platform for black arts and black education at HBCUs, it's a whole different thing. But check on everything from Jefferson's All in the Family all the way through. You can find the problem. You know what it took to get on air.
Yes, absolutely. I love, though, seeing those salary increases over time with those characters, or evolving, etc.
Yeah.
So, was there anything in particular? I mean, obviously, losing someone who we grew up with, even though we didn't know him, it can be traumatic.
There's a couple things.
Okay.
There's a couple things, and it's not just about the brother Malcolm-Jamal Warner. It is a couple things. So one is there's a lot of conversation about the nature of parasocial relationships, right? How much we spend time critiquing entertainers and celebrities and athletes like we know them. And it's accelerated in the digital era to where we've got these people in our screens on a regular basis that and we've all been in these conversations talking about, who did what to who, and that dude ain't, like, we don't know these people. And so it's fascinating.
Right.
I was thinking about Theo is probably one of my early examples of a parasocial relationship, like someone who I've known, and not even so much Theo, but Malcolm-Jamal Warner, and seeing him move on, right, to Malcolm and Eddie, and being in the Funky Beat video, and seeing him become a musician. Like, watching this cat as I've grown up and he's grown up, he's been in my consciousness. And so I'm aware of his growth beyond the character, because in his, very clearly he's not Theo. So this is so much not about the show that I met him on, but rather a brother of my age group who's grown up. So I think a lot about that part of it and what that has meant. And I've watched the reaction to his death and the outpouring of commentary from folk who knew him well, again, who we see as celebrities who have had nothing but glowing things to say about the brother. So I appreciate getting to know him a little bit better, even though I never met him, right? So that's part of it.
I agree. Personally, I think for me, when we lose someone like him and he moves on, it is a reminder that, man, live your life, and anything you are passionate about, explore it. And don't be overly concerned about what other folks might think about it. I mean, that brother's an author, musician, poet, and also played the character of Theo. Anytime you saw him, man, everyone had glowing commentary around him. So I'm with you, man. For me, it was, we've lost another soldier in that journey of be true to yourself. And that's what I'm going to miss. Anytime I saw his face, it was sort of a reminder. Yeah, I don't know this brother, but I feel like I do. And anytime I feel like I'm thinking about living for somebody else, he is a reminder. Because I would hear him in his poetry. I didn't necessarily connect with a lot of it, but I didn't have to. I connected with him being on his journey. And that's what I'll miss, man. I'll miss that a lot. And again, man, everybody I've listened to feels like they lost someone really, really close to them. So...
Yeah.
Anything else, man? As
I got a ton of stuff. I got a whole piece I wrote on this, so we can unpack it.
Yeah, let's unpack that. We got time.
We just started the episode.
Shit, we got.
When you go down the list of who we've lost just in the last 5 years, right? We've lost Kobe. We've recently lost Angie Stone, Ananda Lewis, Chadwick Boseman. There's this thing that it continues to happen where we are losing black folks prematurely. And if you go further back, Sam Cooke, Billie Holiday, Lorraine Hansberry, Medgar Evers, Malcolm X, Martin, Charlie Parker, John Coltrane, all these people died under 50. Many of them under 40. And so there's this recurring theme of premature black death that asks me a lot of questions around, like, how do we process death? What does it do for our resilience? And, is it a contributing factor to our creative muse? Because we see this all the time. And how we deal with it and how we go forward is an interesting question. Like, I'm watching the conversations now, and I remember similarly when Chadwick Boseman died, very, very young, it was shocking to people. Mm-hmm. And a lot of what came, or when Prince died, right? When Michael died, like, you hear these conversations, particularly when you even think about Prince, right? When Prince died, so many people came out and told stories of how much he was mentoring them and collaborating with them, and behind the scenes was really helping them craft their art. And so I'm struck by the frequency with which we lose folk in the community. These are just the people that we don't know, let alone the people that we personally know, and how we react to it. Not everybody handles death well. And so I'm really curious to watch how people grieve and handle death. And for me, I feel like I'm reasonably good at handling death, probably more familiar with it than I'd like to be. But I'm watching cats be twisted and sideways, and I've got close friends who are like, yeah, man, I don't do death well at all. And so I'm fascinated by how the collective consciousness around grieving and mourning, particularly sudden losses, is playing out.
I've been recently doing a lot of thinking around life and what it means. And inevitably, as much as we maybe fail to embrace this part of it, you can't talk about life and not talk about death. We all know it's going to happen. And I think oftentimes too, Reg, when we see other folks pass and move on, it hits close to home for us. And the older we get, the harder it hits. And I know it's not in a selfish way, but it's that reminder that mortality is a real thing. I think I shared with you when my aunt passed. I mean, that was painful. But I immediately, man, I'm trying to flip this into how has she inspired me? What did I forget that I should remember? And I try to treat it that way anymore. It's hard, man. Because in some ways it feels selfish to say I've lost someone. It feels very self-centered. At the same time, the reality is they're no longer with us. So I try to incorporate moving on, AKA death, as a part of any conversation I have around life. And it doesn't make it any easier necessarily, but it makes it more purposeful. I'm with you on that one, man. The Prince one affected me a lot as well, too, because what I see now is this satanic need for folks to now want to flip all the appreciation, and we lost him, to, time has passed. Now it's time to start to add, but my experience with him was, but wasn't he on drugs? That to me is really dangerous. And I don't want to be a part of those conversations. Like to your point, I don't know these folks. So I try to keep it in that positive, inspirational zone. But it really bothers me when I see people let that time pass and then try to insert these alternative points of view on these people's existence. So, man, you don't expect somebody younger than us, man, to be leaving us. That's the other thing. And I try to stay in the zone again, man, of allowing that to inspire me.
Yeah, it happens regularly, right? It happens regularly, unfortunately. And so I'm with you. The inspiration part is how we go forward. It's also about my own personal mortality, right?
Exactly.
It is about, on one hand, get your affairs in order, right? There is a paperwork trail for organizing your life that one must contemplate. And so, I'm not going to make this a advertising, spot for all the things one needs to do with will and et cetera, but it's necessary. And the first time I did a will, it wasn't fun, but it's very, very necessary. Is it also a reminder, like you were talking about, live your life and kind of how life and death are intertwined? This notion of, and where we started the show, right, in the very beginning, 12 episodes ago now, which is crazy. How do we purposely seek joy? How do we purposely seek joy in every moment and celebrate the small wins, the big wins, the daily activity of life? Because it's not promised. Like, death comes like a thief in the night. So it's not promised for any of us. And I am trying to be mindful of how I take my time to enjoy this thing. I'm only going to get one lap at it, unless you believe in reincarnation. And so it's got me really thinking about how I use my time, how I spend my time, who I spend my time with, what energy I keep around me. And to your point, I definitely try to keep the naysayers, the negativity away from me. I'm not engaging in that space. But I am very much trying to work my way through, what does it mean to celebrate the moments while still being active and in produce mode and create mode, and how we continue to make an impact in the world that we're in. But it arrested me. Like this one stopped me in my tracks. And then I thought about, like, man, for the generation behind us, I'm not sure they know this cat at all.
Well, yeah, and I doubt they would know him as Theo Huxtable, if they do know him.
To the extent that that's not even streaming in a really significant way right now, I wonder how much of the early, actor story they know, and a lot of his other stuff is fairly niche. And so it's interesting to watch society respond to these types of situations where they don't, certainly anybody under 35 is unlikely to know him walking up and down the street.
Yeah, I agree, because, they lost syndication quite some time ago. I don't know if that was 2014.
They've been back for a while. They're on TV One pretty regularly now. Yeah. They're in a different world, both.
Yeah, but when they originally lost it, man, that not only did it hit the pockets, and we've seen the stories around that, but it also a bit tarnished that legacy, not just for Bill. And unfortunately, man, it's like shrapnel for some of these other folks. But we're going to talk about this, man, in upcoming episodes, and I'm looking forward to it, because I think you're pressing on for me, man, ultimately is legacy. Mm-hmm. And what does it mean, man? And can you create it? And again, we're going to talk about this. Is legacy something you simply leave and other folks brand for you? Or is it something you can literally create? And if so, how are we deliberate around legacy? Because that's what really presses me. And honestly, you have two beautiful offspring. So that's a part of your legacy. And that'll be there as you are not, right? I don't have that. So when DJ's gone, DJ's gone. And folks can write books. Folks can tell stories. I don't know what the defense posturing will be like on some of those stories, right? I might still have you out there. No, but wait a minute. He was.
I got you. Don't you even worry about that. I got you.
You ain't really know DJ.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
But I don't know, man. And I think about that a lot. Not that I'm worried about the naysayers. I don't live like that. But this presses on legacy for me. I watched an interview with him. I think it was maybe hours before he passed. And that brother was happy, man. That brother was in an airport having a conversation about how much he enjoyed life and how blessed he was to be where he was with family and friends, man. And it's almost like, what more can you ask in this journey? What more can you ask in this journey, man? And I want to live like that every single day. So that's what hit me about it. Again, don't know Theo. Same with Prince, man. You can say what you want about that brother. The impact that he had on me and just the way he moved. So that's what I try to think about, man. Am I empowering other folks to do what they want to do, live how they want to live, and especially our people, man, and where I can create and help sort of build a path for that, man, I'm diligent around that. So, yeah, it leaves me personalizing some things, which might be selfish, but it's a sad day to hear that someone like him has left us, man. So I know we're going to talk about this in future episodes, man, but I want to touch on legacy a little bit. For you, fundamentally, how much time do you spend thinking about Reg Hamlet's legacy?
From my perspective, legacy is for other people to write. I don't worry about that. I can't author a story when I'm gone. And so I've always thought of legacy as how other people measure my work. Achievement is how I measure my work, as I think about those two things. I am mindful of I am water in a river, right? And the river was there before I got there. It'll be there after I go. The best thing that I can do is continue the flow so that all that came before me is treated with a certain amount of celebration and honor and study. And all that comes after me is nourished by whatever I left behind. So I without question, I think about my sons. But I also think about my family. I think about people that I've worked with, people that I've met, who were mentors for me, mentees to me, and all of the conversations. And I hope that it adds up to something. I don't know what it adds up to. I can't tell you what my legacy is. You could tell me better than I can, right? In terms of the conversations you have with people, the moments you spend with people, how do they feel about you? That's where your legacy lives, right? It's how the marketplace receives who you were, and the composite sketch of how people have felt about you is all of it. And quite frankly, the negative is in there as well, right? It's part of the composite sketch. And the people that you've interacted with all get to give a point of view, and you hope that the collective picture is one that you're smiled upon and people celebrate you. And sometimes that's not the case, right? And so for me, I don't think about legacy. I think about, have I been a good steward of the things that have come my way, and have I poured my blessings into something beyond me, is kind of how I think about it. And so I'm really mindful of, the parable of the talents, and have I wasted my talents? And so I'm critical of, have I applied myself with the talents I've been blessed with? Legacy is for someone else to tell me. I don't know.
All right, well, I look forward to picking that conversation up. I think we're at the finish line today.
Malcolm-Jamal Warner, man, we appreciate you. You will live on in your art. Prayers up for your family. You have touched a lot of folk, man, and that will continue. I, for one, am grateful for meeting you virtually as a 17-year-old way back in the day, and the shag will live on forever. This is Mama We Made It. That's DJ. I'm Reg. Check us out on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Peace and blessings to everybody. See you soon. Mama made it. Mama made it.